think the big issue here is the president no longer appearing on Thursday, as expected, before the House of Representatives. He having been personally invited after a resolution of the House by the Speaker himself, who went to the villa. We were told that members of your party, the People's Democratic Party, had arranged to heckle and embarrass the president. That was one reason that was given. But the other reason was given by the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, SAN, who said that the House of Representatives or the Senate do not have any constitutional powers to invite the president of Nigeria or summon him to come and explain whatever. There is an altercation. There are different views amongst lawyers in that regard. But what do you think, as someone who has been in both chambers of the National Assembly?
Anyway, I will start by saying that it is ridiculous that the Attorney General of the Federation or any lawyer will actually support the wicked stand that the National Assembly lack powers to summon the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I mean, that is, to me, very ridiculous and unacceptable. And one will say that this is not the first time that the President is disobeying the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. For example, Section 217, 218, and 219 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have said that the President cannot carry out operational use of the armed forces without the approval of the National Assembly. In fact, specifically Section 219B is very, very specific in that regard. So one will now be very surprised to see that all these actions were taken without the approval of the National Assembly in that regard. And ab initio, you should also remember that the President had agreed earlier to appear before the National Assembly. What is the President afraid of? Some people are going to boo you, some people are going to mock you, some people are going to... That is completely irrelevant. That does not have any hold constitutionally or by any of our extant laws in this country. The powers of the National Assembly to summon is sacrosanct, it's not debatable, and this is the first time I'm hearing this. Trump, as cantankerous as he is, he was invited by the U.S. Congress, and he appeared before them. And if you have nothing to hide, or there are no clandestine motives, there are no ulterior motives, there's no reason why the President will not appear before the National Assembly to explain or answer questions from the National Assembly, because you are president and you are elected to serve. And I recall that the president had the Quran on his right hand, had the Constitution of the Federal Republic on his left, and he swore to uphold that Constitution. And today it is regrettable that this is happening, and I hope the National Assembly will exercise their powers. I hope the Speaker of the House of Representatives will go to court and ask the court an order of mandamus or to ask for interpretation in the Supreme Court on this very particular issue. But it is very disgraceful. It is unacceptable in any democratic climate.
But Senator Melaye, I mean, what do you think of the argument that this came about as a resolution of the House of Representatives? And a resolution does not have, it's not backed by any binding force. In other words, there's no way the House of Representatives can enforce it. So it comes down not even to law, but to the discretion of the president. And, some commentators have said in the past, when other presidents were similarly invited, they refused to go, and there is nothing to it. So if the president has exercised his discretion, are we not just merely raising moral issues?
It is not true. There are no moral issues here. And even if you are talking of morality, the president should, on moral grounds, respect the institution of the National Assembly as a Democrat to respond to their clarion call. The powers of someone of the National Assembly, I have repeatedly said, it is very, very clear. Section 88(1) of the 1999 Constitutions has given the National Assembly powers by resolution published in its journal or official gazette of the Federation to direct, cause, or be directed investigation on any matter whatsoever. That's what Section 81, Section 88(1) of the Constitution says. He said on any matter, once by resolution, it is reflected in the journal or it is reflected in the hazard of the National Assembly. So what they are conducting is also investigation, but they want to hear from the president. So whether it is by resolution or it is by mere pronouncement, once it is an agreement of any of the chambers of the National Assembly, the National Assembly is empowered by that provision of Section 88(1) to summon any persons in furtherance or rather in line with their investigative powers as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended. So there's no ambiguity at all. It is just because we have irresponsible leadership, we have leadership that is, what is the essence of the National Assembly? As an independent arm of government. We have been talking about separation of powers. Is it right for any president in a democracy to ridicule the entire institution of the National Assembly? And unfortunately, the National Assembly they've not done what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, some of us are not there to make sure that this institution is not ridiculed, rubbished by the executive. Well, I've said it many times. I'm not saying the National Assembly should be enemies with the executive, but they are by design not supposed to be friends. Any day you see an accountant and an auditor becoming friends, then fraud is about to take place. So the National Assembly has been conditioned legally, constitutionally, to check the activities of the executive, including that of Mr. President. If you say they have no powers of summon, then what is their primary constitutional role?
Well, Senator Melaye, but I mean, it's a
so if you have nothing to hide, if you have nothing to fear, even morally speaking, no responsible presidents have powers to decline invitation of the National Assembly. Not to talk of being empowered by the provisions of Section 88(1). And that 88(1) is not written in Okun language. It's not written in Fulani. It is clear and unambiguous. So I'm surprised that lawyers who have gone through law school, who understand the letters and words in English, will give some satanic interpretation, some wicked, nefarious interpretation to that provision. It is not acceptable. In a proper democracy, it is not acceptable. And that is why I say, because of the refusal of the president to appear, what we are practicing in this country is not democracy. That's not government of the people, by the people, and for the people, because the representative of the people are inviting you and you are saying no. What we are practicing is greediocracy. Government of the greedy, by the greedy, and for the greedy. Well, there is no reason why anyone should defend the president. There's no reason why anybody should protect the president. The president, as a Democrat, as one who was elected by the people, must face the people when they ask questions.
Well, Senator Melaye, I'm surprised you have...
And this is not only to the National Assembly. When last did the president speak to the media? When last did the president engage the media in a question and answer? You are defending the president from going to commission projects. You are defending him from going to interact with media. You are defending him even from communing with the citizens who elected him into power. We didn't elect a president who should remain in the corridors of his comfort in the villa.